So last week I made a public comment post saying that I was going to be responding to some of the brilliant comments that I've received already on Wilson. So just to kind of start this out, I brought somebody along with me to answer some of these questions as we go along, so we can maybe create a bit of a space that feels a bit more like a conversation, which is what I'm kind of aiming for in this. So as we bring up stuff, talk about it, chat in response, please feel free, if you're watching, to add your own thoughts to the comment section and respond to others as it goes. And also, I'm new to this. If any of you guys don't want to be called in, like if you would prefer that I didn't mention or drop your handle in these response videos, please say so, and I'll adjust accordingly. Can't even come back to edit this. So.
And also just don't leave a comment because that's public information.
Also a good time for that warning, for sure. The comment section on these videos is public facing, which means that it's not private and anything you share can be seen by other people. And even if you come back to delete that, screenshots, they can last a long time. So be mindful of the things you say in public and use this space responsibly, safely, seek help if you need it, and join the conversation.
Our first comment, it's referencing the video A Good Underdog, the first time you said no. So Heather says, or Heather Unicorn rather, yes. I would say I've finally grown a backbone. People used to use me and say stuff right to me like I was a pushover, and some still do, and I've learned to walk away from anything that contradicts my peace. I've got boundaries set now because I've realized my worth.
Realizing worth. Oh my gosh. Right now, it's like a very relatable experience, I think, for many people to be right in that same position, noticing their worth, and then also noticing that there's nobody else that's going to protect that or to keep that worth safe except for you and the boundaries that you build. What an amazing personal experience, sharing your journey for us all to like learn and reflect about. That's part of what this channel is about.
Heck yeah. So what makes a good self-worth boundary?
A good self-worth boundary. An example of that is when you're in public and something kind of disrespectful, kind of minor might happen. You can decide in that moment, and depending on the situation, it may be worth protecting by not saying anything. But in other situations, your worth may be protected better by saying something.
Yeah. What a hard line between like boundaries and caring sometimes.
Yeah, right? That's a whole conversation, right?
Yeah. All right. From the video, the pattern beyond every conflict, why nobody at the dinner table is actually hearing each other. Nathaniel Myers 721 says, the problem is that validation, understanding, and problem solving are happening out of order, and the word but amplifies the disconnect by turning attempted understanding into perceived opposition.
Yeah.
What follows the word but is often a person's true position. Everything before it can be softening, politeness, or an attempt to maintain the connection. The word but signals a pivot. It tends to outweigh or replace what came before it. Listening closely to what comes after the but is a communication skill I've intentionally developed.
Heck yeah. What are your thoughts on that one?
I didn't know I was being asked the questions here.
Or I can rephrase the question, like, is there something, like, what do you think really stands out?
Really stands out?
In that one?
It's the whole principle behind the but. Yeah, what they actually believe, or their most heartfelt belief is after the but.
Sometimes the word but can cancel a sorry, for example. Sometimes the word but can accidentally divert attention from the point that really needs to be focused on in a moment. I did have some thoughts on this one earlier today. I wonder if sometimes for communicators who, like myself, are still learning, as heavily linguistically gifted. I am. I actually do struggle to communicate in a way that people can really understand sometimes. And one of the things I was thinking about was how maybe sometimes people who struggle to communicate or understand the dynamics of communicating, they may accidentally want to shift the angle or the perspective of something with but, right? So they start responding to somebody else's thought or point of view, and then they say but when they're doing that, maybe that's an invitation to, like, in self-reflection, when you do come across the word but in your language, an invitation to request a turn to share your point of view, to clarify that the other person is wrapped up and finished with their statement, and then saying, I understand that. Would it be okay if I share a bit about how I feel, or how I perceive, or how I've experienced something? Sometimes but can be, when self-reflected, an invitation to request space for your own point of view.
Good explanation of butts.
Mm-hmm. It was just something I legitimately thought about today.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's good stuff.
I didn't actually, I didn't pre-think or pre-script any of what I just said. But, do you have any reaction
Just
to that?
freestyling.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Lesser skilled communicators with room to grow. I'm one of those people too.
Here.
Yeah. Next, we had a comment from somebody, Philip:983. This one was about the short that I posted called Power Controls Everything. He said, be careful advocating violence when you yourself will not be manning the battlement, young lady. Wow. Beware of those who call your boundaries violent. Always. There's a lot of conversation to be had, much too much for tonight's video, about themes related to consent and power that there's just not enough time to discuss here tonight. But I think that these comments draw really important attention to something that we all are developing as a collective society right now. Things related to boundaries, things related to worth, things related to consent and saying no, and really making a strong point about the distinction between violence and non-consent. Okay? That's something I think that is worth talking about in the future, but certainly worthy of highlighting tonight in this video. Thank you so much for all of your guys' bravery in the comment section and for sharing your thoughts here. It really creates a lot of room for thought and for growing. And I'm hopeful that you guys are all experiencing that too on your side of the screen.
Heck yeah. All right, so we have another one from @searchingformine393. This is from the pilot episode. What's been happening in our realm has been so hard on so many of us. Well, those of us not stuck in the self. I teared up several times this week at the worst crap happening to some of the most kind and loving people on earth.
Yeah.
Commenting to the not fairness.
Right. I think that what's really special about this comment is the nod of attention to how much pain so many people are in. And in spite of that, or while that's ongoing, that you were able to notice the time that you got to spend with people who were kind and loving and poured back into you. That is something that, like I said earlier, some of these brilliant comments are worth speaking so much more to. There's so much wisdom here in the comment section. Thank you for putting that out there for us to read and share again here. That's very good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm pointing to how it's hard for those that aren't stuck in self.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Very rich thing for us to say as the the privilegedness that we get to have in our daily lives, to be insulated or insulated from a lot of that pain and a lot of that suffering that's going on. Crappy.
Yeah. The Pier 1 of wisdom says that knowing sometimes comes with pain, or that knowing sometimes is painful, right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah. And it's not like the most eloquent way that Pier 1 would put it out there.
I can't
but it
remember
gets the
how
gist
that
across.
one goes.
Yeah.
But basically, the idea is that wisdom sometimes is painful. At the same time,
knowledge is power and ignorance is bliss.
Yes, yes. So we got to be mindful of the way that our perception informs the way that we're seeing the world. Yes, there's a lot of pain, but there's a lot of different ways that we can perceive that pain and then essentially choose to allow that pain to impact our everyday life and our moment-to-moment perspective.
At Mogsy 1972, great year. And this is from the video, You Feel What Others Can't Say.
Thank you.
Mogsy 1972 says, so true. The only problem is remembering to close yourself off properly. Otherwise, you can absorb the bad energy. Yes, it's a gift to be born like this, but it takes a lifetime to master. Videos like this can help people to ground themselves properly. Love and light. Oh,
that's such a beautiful comment. Absolutely. This kind of circles right back around to what we were talking about earlier in tonight's video about boundaries. This person, Mogsy 1972, right on point. Without boundaries, especially if you're innately sensitive, just kind of born that way or naturally predisposed to that sort of personality and temperament, having boundaries, that becomes life-saving, right? That's a life-saving preventative measure for somebody who is naturally sensitive. And when a person like that goes through life without being armed with boundaries, bad things happen. They have poor well-being, life circumstances, they struggle. And so yes, very important that we all have this capacity to protect that high value, high worth sensitivity with strong, meaningful boundaries.
Absolutely. When I read through this, you comment about absorbing the bad energy.
Yeah.
And that just being a bad thing. It says so flat out, absorbing the bad energy. But when is it good for us to be absorbing the bad energy? There are times and places for that, right?
I love that point you just made. I love that point. Yes, there are times when the bad energy that we experience or that we're surrounded by, and yes, I realize there's a lot of it right now on our planet, right? You don't have to go far. But yes, there is a reason why we feel the bad energy, right? Bad energy creates emotions. Emotions, part of the word emotion is motion, right? The bad energy is also something that we have to be educated about experiencing and being able to learn how to respond to it in a way that's appropriate and fits the situation, right?
Yeah. Being careful about what that is, but also acknowledging the suck.
Yeah. Don't let it bleed on you is something that someone once told me about going to a place, a large city with a lot of suffering that's just right there on the sleeve. Don't let it bleed on you, they said. It's advice really meant to say, be careful that you don't absorb that much pain just by being around.
Yeah.
But if we numb ourselves too much to the way that the evisceration is experienced out here as we walk around, that doesn't really make change happen either. So thanks again for being here, for being a part of this community, building a dialogue, making conversation to talk about the things that are hard, painful, and ultimately hard to handle.
At Love Truth 0G. This is from Growing Up Part 1. Those who see too deeply into the nature of reality often struggle to belong. because awareness separates them from the illusions that comfort others. Absolutely.
Quoted by Friedrich Nietzsche. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Similarly to what I was saying earlier, the cost of knowledge, right?
Mhm.
The cost of knowledge. I wonder what Pier 1 has to say about wisdom coming at a cost. If you know of something that they say about the cost of wisdom or the cost of knowledge, please put it in the comments below. That would be a lot of fun. But yeah, this one reminds me, Friedrich Nietzsche was talking about that a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, in a way, we're moving through an era where we're experiencing a sort of rerun, where the Pier 1 stuff that seems so obvious or colloquial, like we all should just sort of know it, it's not so common, this common sense.
It's definitely that feeling of how can I know this and everybody else doesn't?
Yeah, for sure.
That's isolating. Yeah, maybe that isn't that feeling. That wasn't the right way to put that.
I think it is. I think
Yeah.
there's value to what you just said there. I mean, going all the way back to the pilot episode when I was advised by my mom to find myself some space to put my thoughts in words because sometimes there isn't something else available. It's very isolating sometimes. But making this space, I'm learning over time that maybe we're not so alone after all.
From Mo Creation. I'm gonna have to look that one up. This is from Growing Up Part 1. The world is changing. Time to grow. Momo says, there is so much evil in this world that is just permitted to exist. I'm growing. I can do nothing.
That's a relatable feeling for a lot of people right now. The sensation that there's so much going on. Don't let it bleed on you, right? It feels like we're paralyzed, just stunned to do nothing. That's a really common feeling right now for a lot of people. And I'm still learning about what to do with this much pain, right? There's a lot out there right now. But I'm finding that there might be something to the process of action after pain, right? The pain is experienced, but the thing that creates the movement after, post pain, is the drive to survive, right? And the drive to survive sometimes means talking. Sometimes it just means waking up the next day. Sometimes the drive to survive means doing the hardest thing at the bottom of the list that you've been avoiding for like forever. No matter what, in spite of all of the evil or all of the blood, all of the scariness out there. Even if that's just getting your feet to touch the floor for the first time in the morning.
Yeah. There's so much evil in the world. It's just permitted to exist, but I can do nothing. Speaking as a converted, highly religious, bigoted homophobe, I will say that there definitely is a lot of evil in the world. And I probably would have made a lot of people in my journey through that and growing and actually becoming a human being and actually treating humans like humans, is all of those people along the way that interacted with me, that pushed my wall further and further. I probably treated them like they weren't doing anything. If anything, I probably treated them like they were super dumb, like nothing they said had any value, and I probably broke them down. But each one of those people, as they probably walked away doing nothing, still stuck a little thing in my brain. And then the next person that walked away, me telling them that they didn't do anything, still stuck another little thing in my brain.
It made a difference.
And it turns out that all of these people that probably walked away with me making them feel like they didn't do anything, did. And here I am, very happy, treat humans like humans, but it took a lot of people feeling like they didn't probably do anything to get there. So have conversations, challenge somebody, do it nicely, do it with kindness, keep your personal insults to yourself. But even when you are, even when it seems like you're doing nothing, you might be doing something.
Yeah. There are a lot of groups of people that, like from different kinds of cultures. It's this sensation or this vibe to not give up, that your best effort is to just continue on being yourself, to not give up. I'm not talking about not giving up when somebody says no. That's a matter of consent. I'm speaking as far as you being yourself and emanating and being the natural way that you are, regardless of what somebody else outside of you thinks about that, no matter how mean or bullying that language can be. Be yourself. That is something that in its nature is revolutionary these days when we are dealing with a culture that is really toxic in many ways to what we call authenticity, or what people often reference as authenticity. Our culture is poisonous to that. And part of that poison is something that's created through transmission of social circles. The ones that you listed that you recovered through, or you're calling yourself recovered from, those are things that have like propaganda and attention stealing tropes and jokes and cultures associated with them that it takes a long time to confront and unravel beliefs and ideologies that we don't really resonate with.
Lots of cultural consequences turning on those things. Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing that vulnerable bit.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Like I've stated a few other times tonight, there's so much good wisdom and brilliant thoughts going on in this comment section. There's just not enough time to cover it all. But this one here at the end for us this evening, it really strikes a chord for what a lot of people are dealing with broadly in society right now. Trying to get along with people who appear to have totally different opinions, beliefs, and ideologies about things. And what are we going to do to get along? And how are we going to make it through this? How can we connect through all of that? And yeah, with that said, I just want to thank every single one of you for offering up your thoughts and sharing your love and yourselves with the rest of us and being a part of this ever-growing community of people.
Definitely.
It's fantastic. So, looking forward to catching you guys in the next one. For now, chin up and please subscribe, like, and follow along for the next one.
Let us know what you think.
More than a Wilson.